So over the last week, I've talked about authoritarianism. Now, I talked about it in the context of centrism, right? Now, centrists have a tendency to allow authoritarians to get into power, especially white middle-class centrists. However, it's not just the centrists that are the problem. There's also the extreme right. Now, there's a lot of conventional wisdom that loves to tell you that, no, it's the extreme left and the extreme right that are dangerous for democracy. It's the fact that they can't get along and they can't go to the center and make deals, etc., etc. Well, that is, no, that's actually bullshit. Turns out the left is actually more interested in democracy. They believe in democracy and they protect democratic institutions. The centrists and the right wing, they're in favor of authoritarianism. And it turns out we need to watch both of them now. Now, according to a new working paper out by political scientist Stephen V. Miller of Clemson and Nicholas T. Davis of Texas A&M, which is titled White Outgroup Intolerance and Declining Support for American Democracy, found a little bit of a correlation between white American intolerance and racism and support for an authoritarian strongman. So basically, kind of boiled down simply, when white racist people think that marginalized people, for example, African Americans, Latinos, gay Americans, immigrants, it turns out that when democracy benefits those people and gives them rights, well, they hate democracy. These white racists. Like, oh, democracy? What is actually going to help those people? No, I spit on democracy. No. Where's the strongman? Where's the strongman? Donald Trump? Here. Make America great again. Now, to be fair, of course, this study was taken, was actually done or using data before Donald Trump, to be fair. And it turns out that Donald Trump was everything that these people were actually looking for. But let me get to some more details, right? Now, Miller and Davis used information from the World Values Survey. Now, that's a research project organized by a worldwide network of social scientists. Now, basically what they did is they polled individuals in numerous countries on a wide range of beliefs and values. Now, the survey is from the United States. The authors found out that white people who did not want immigrants or people of different races living next door to them were more likely to support an authoritarian leader. For instance, people who said they did not want to live next door to immigrants or to people of another race were more supportive of the idea of a military rule. So that as a military dictatorship, the people that are like, yeah, I don't want that black guy living next to me. Let me tell you what, I'm just uncomfortable. Oh, military rule? Oh, yeah. Oh, I love the military. But what about democracy? What about the American flag that you're flying in your yard? You might as well just replace it with a Nazi flag. That's pretty much what it is. I mean, seriously. Now, look, they were more supportive not only of military rule, but also, or alternatively, an authoritarian strongman leader who could ignore legislatures and election results. Who does that remind you of? Kind of reminds you of Vladimir Putin, who ignores, well, no, he doesn't even ignore election results. He just finds an opponent and says, oh, you can't run. Oh, you might actually beat me in an election. Turns out you're disqualified from running. Ha ha. Look at that. I win again. I win the president. The Russian people really love me. Or maybe it's because you rigged the rules against anybody who could possibly challenge you. That's a strong man. And of course, Donald Trump, Republicans, conservatives love strong men. They love them. They also love straw men. But anyway, now, could you imagine though? I mean, think about the neighbor example, for example. Like, I couldn't imagine hating the idea of living next to a black person. Look, I had a neighbor that was African American. He's a wonderful guy. No problems whatsoever. He helped me move. He was super, super nice. But anyway, I couldn't imagine being such a racist piece of garbage that I could hate someone like that. I couldn't imagine being in that situation, hating someone that much for no reason, and actually willing to turn my back on what supposedly made this country great in the first place, democracy. But no, anyway, the World Values Survey used was from the period of 1995 to 2011. That was well before 2016, which is obvious. But see, here's the thing, right? This shows you that Trump is not the cause of this, right? He is a symptom of something much larger and much more insidious. He is basically an infested boil on our politics. Yeah, it feels good to lance the boil, but guess what? You didn't actually get rid of what created it in the first place. I think Trump is the logical conclusion of the ideology of the right wing, of Republicans. He's an idiot, but he's also racist, sociopathic, narcissistic, loud, completely untethered from reality, and of course, like any strongman, delegitimizes the press, says everything they're doing is fake news. Look, he is a wannabe strongman, and he talks about right-wing populism. That's what he used, right? And the core of right-wing populism is, yes, taking issues like, oh, look, your jobs are going to China. Well, it must be the Chinese people's fault. Or it must be, oh, look, you don't have good wages. It must be the immigrants' fault because they're taking all your jobs. That's the core of right-wing populism. So, and look, that's what he does. I mean, he says things like, oh, it's the Mexicans. They're coming over. They're stealing your jobs. They're rapists and they're murderers. Or it's the Chinese people coming and taking your work. Or the black people that don't have work or that don't work and yet simultaneously come and take your jobs. Look, he says also, well, don't worry. I'll get people back to work. You just leave it to me. I can handle everything. Well, that's what a strong man does. Only I can save America. And when he says that stuff and then praises people like Duterte and Putin, he is appealing to that same demographic. He's appealing to the people who are sensitive to that. Okay? Because those people want racist strongmen. And they say, of course, yes, dear leader. Of course, George Soros, same as Nazis. Must be true. You said it. You said it. Again, the irony here is that these same people, by the way, who like Donald Trump, tend to also love Israel, right? And hate Jews at the same time. Weird how that works out. Weird. But anyway, speaking of that, Miller and Davis's paper also quotes Richard Spencer. Now, Spencer, of course, is the alt-right, neo-fascist, white nationalist, right? He said, quote, "We need an ethno-state so that our people can come home again. We must give up the false dreams of equality and democracy." So in that statement, he basically just said, democracy? No, we're going to have to give up democracy. You're not in favor at all of democratic institutions. At all. That is literally the most un-American thing that you could say. No, I'm against democracy. In fact, the racist utopia that I want to build doesn't have democracy. Why? It's because democracy threatens us because we're fascists. That's what he's saying. We are fascists. If you have a country like ours where you have minorities with things called rights, like, for example, voting, well, they'll never vote to get themselves kicked out of the country. They'll never vote for pure white rule. No. So people like Spencer, they have to kill democracy in order to get their white utopia. And of course, this is like 1930s Germany. It's the rise of fascism all over again. And so, and look, just like back then, you have the right wing playing on white identity politics, the politics of white resentment. In fact, Miller told the author of the piece in the NBC, Alex Seitz-Wald, that since Richard Nixon's Southern strategy, the GOP has pigeonholed itself as, in a large part, an aggrieved white people's party. You want to talk about identity politics. The right thrives on identity politics. I mean, I've talked to people who say, no, I feel like I'm a minority in my own country. Now, why would you think that? Well, it's because I heard somebody speaking Spanish and I didn't understand that. Why do we have things in Spanish? Well, there is no official language of the United States. In fact, all languages are welcome. Look, again, here you have people that think that way, and when an authoritarian says, oh, don't worry, I'm going to protect you guys against the invaders, well, that's how you get people to vote for them. And that's how you end up getting an authoritarian strongman. So that's why Republicans, of course, going back to taking power, that's why you want to. That's why Republicans want to have to, or where they actually push voter ID laws. They push these laws and they put up barriers to voting because it's about killing democracy. It's about taking control and not letting people who could stop you from being able to stop you at the polls. Now, finally, Miller says, quote, social intolerance isn't just leading to GOP support as we know and we see it now. It's also leading to preferences in favor of the kind of candidate that the GOP ultimately nominated and supported for president. Now, have we seen Trump-like candidates? Yes. Have we seen some win? Yes. Greg Gianforte in Montana. The guy who body slammed a reporter. The guy's a criminal. He's going to court. But at the same time, he's still an elected official in Montana. But we've also seen people lose. Don Blankenship, for example. You also have Roy Moore, also lost to candidate Doug Jones. Now, why did Doug Jones win? It's not because everybody was excited about Doug Jones. He's a centrist. He votes with Donald Trump on certain issues, which sucks. But the reason that he won and that he beat a pedophile is because, well, you had a lot of black people show up and vote just to keep Roy Moore out of office. So, look, that big turnout by the black community, it did stop Roy Moore, who would have been with Trump 100% of the time. So, I think the choice for them was clear, even though we're very, very disappointed with Doug Jones. But I didn't have much. Look, I didn't expect much from Doug Jones anyway. But look, anyway, here's the thing: if Republicans manage to continue passing laws that bar people like this from voting, well, then we're in real trouble. Because again, that just leaves the people that are voting for authoritarians. They're not going to stop. They're driven by something I don't understand, that I've never really felt myself. And that's hate, bigotry, and complete intolerance. And these people don't stop until they win. So what we need to do is we need to rally, right? We need to offer an alternative to hate while addressing the very things that these strongmen use to play on to get support, right? And I'm talking about economic issues. I'm talking about wage stagnation. I'm talking about not having benefits, not having things like Medicare for all, like not having things like access to education, not having good neighborhoods and good paying jobs. Those are things that need to be addressed, because if we don't address them, then that's something that Republicans or Trump-like strongmen can go and use, and then use it to demagogue another group. That's really an important thing to involve in any platform, is an actual progressive economic platform. Because if you get on the high ground on that, you prevent the fascists from taking and using that to gain power. And we've seen it over and over. A lot of Germans got behind Hitler because he could get the trains running. He promised to get the trains running. He promised to get people back to work and to go after the punishing economic sanctions that were put in place by the Allies after World War I. So, look, man, if you remove those issues, and if you actually deal with the problems of neoliberalism, then somebody like Trump could never actually win. I mean, because think about it. Make America great again? Well, why would you want to do that if America's already great? I mean, if you had a fair wage, universal health care, you had good, strong gun reform so that people aren't shooting up schools, plenty of jobs to go around. Well, somebody like Trump could never win in that environment. No, Trump is a symptom because, look, someone like that can only win in a place where things are massively broken and where people are looking for someone to blame. Racists then can step in and tell you, no, I know those. I know what the cause of your problem is. It's the black people. It's the Latinos. It's the immigrants. And yes, as it always leads to, the Jews, right? And you see that as well from a lot of Trump supporters. Strongmen feed off that kind of stuff. They feed off the resentment. And in America, right now, white right-wing resentment is at an all-time high. And that is incredibly dangerous. This is how fascism begins, right here. It is time to fight it. It is time to beat it before it's too late. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.